National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
You're going to call anyone that loves you. You're going to ask them if you can use their card to buy concert tickets because your card's maxed out. Okay. If they say yes, you get the tickets.
I can't call my parents because they already think I make bad financial decisions. Well, so I think I'll call one of my friends.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous. I feel tingly.
What's your not answer?
Giovanna?
Yes?
I was on SeatGeek earlier and I saw 2 tickets for Olivia Rodrigo at a really, really, really good price. So
Oh my god.
I maxed my credit card out by accident last week. Do you think I could use yours to buy the tickets?
Oh my god, yes.
Did I what?
Yeah, you got the tickets. You got the tickets.
I just want tickets. We're going to go to the concert together. Giovanna, I'll call you later. Love you. Thanks for picking up. Oh my god. I'm going to see Olivia Rodrigo.
Yes, thank you, SeatGeek.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's time to experience the O's on the Original Sports Podcast.
Hey, maybe I'm an old buck, but who the hell is Olivia Rodriguez?
Oh yeah,
don't
she's
know.
a singer. She was on that one Disney show. Disney turns all their stars into singers.
I thought they turned them into crackheads.
Well,
Okay.
only if they go to a Diddy party.
Oh shit! Chop, you ever been to a Diddy party?
Dude, I hated those fucking celebs when I was bouncing in Bodyguard. I would not go to any after parties. None of that shit. None of it.
Did he ever say, "Hey, you want to come work for
None
me,
of
big
it.
fella"?
No, never messed with Diddy. That was one of them. LL. Shit. Hell, man, the craziest one I ever did, Marilyn Manson. That was the
Oh, that dude was
craziest.
cool though.
Yeah, but it was crazy because it was weird.
Wasn't he Paul from the Wonder Years?
No, that was the thing about him, but it was no. But he was a cool dude. He really was.
Yeah,
He was a cool dude. Yeah, man.
I was down with his music.
Yeah, and the crazy part is we're sitting there jamming backstage in his dressing room. He's listening to Brian McKnight Back at One. That's what he was listening to.
Was he hitting a fatty though? That's all I want to know.
Actually, no, he was doing something, but I wasn't that. He was wilding though. He was wilding.
I bet he was. I bet he was.
Profiling.
Woo! Hey,
Oh.
welcome back to Coach Noob. Glad to see you here tonight, big fella. Before we go further, though, please share with these folks where you've been on your hiatus.
So I am the lowest scoring offensive coordinator in girls flag football history. It was awesome. No, I've been coaching girls flag football, man. It's been so fun. T-Siz came on the ride with me. Coach Horton, man, we had a blast. We coached the girls at Poolsville High School. First year ever playing flag football in our county. And it was a huge success. The girls had a great time. T-Siz, what was our final record? We 7-4?
6-4, yeah.
6-4,
6-4, 7-4, something like that. We lost to the 4 teams who were in the semis. And,
Yeah, 7-4. We were 7-4.
So 7-4, yeah.
Yeah.
So we
Not
lost.
bad. Not bad.
We lost to the teams that went to the finals,
Mhm.
and Clark and the 2 teams that played against each other, Clarksburg and Northwest, with Clarksburg winning the county championship. Those 2 teams are going to go to M&T Bank Stadium in
exciting.
Baltimore and compete for the state championship.
That's exciting.
Dude, how cool is it? There is a window of, I think it was 48 hours after the Ravens play. They're going to redo their field, but there's like 48 hours after their game where it's open. So they're going to allow the girls to play on their stadium field, and then they're going to redo the field after that. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to tell you one thing about those Ravens. They are a community-based team. I mean, I know I'm a diehard Steeler guy, but I got to really, really appreciate what they do in this local Maryland community. They came into Frederick County, Maryland. They gave them a shit ton of money to start girls flag football. And I just think that's the best thing since sliced bread, to be honest with you. And those guys do a lot of community service work. I watched Lamar last night. Wait, when they play? Yeah, yesterday. I watched him run over to some little kid. He had the kid's mom had a sign. He made him a little bracelet. He went over there. Like, I like Lamar personally. I don't want him to be successful when he plays the Steelers, but I like the kid. And that organization as a whole is just it's top notch. It really is. And I mean that sincerely.
They paid for all the uniforms. We have 25 schools in Montgomery County. They paid for all the uniforms. They paid for all the stipends. They paid for everything. They paid for all the balls. They paid for all everything, flags. Like, it was really, really cool what they did. It's really neat. They've done it for, I think, 4 different counties in the state. So it's on the move, man. It's really, really neat to be a part of. The girls love it. It's empowering, and I think it's been a very positive thing for the community.
So I think I told you last week that we had a girl. She's being recruited by Marymount in Virginia. So it's not just something that's a high school thing, varsity sport, but it's legit. They can go to the next level, get a scholarship, play, and it's really fun. It's intense.
I think at some point we'll see a professional girls flag football, a ladies flag football league. I really do. I mean, it would behoove them to do that, to be honest with you. You know,
there is a national team, and I believe they're playing overseas. And one of the girls who coaches at Northwest and played at Northwest, did track and did some other sports. She actually plays on the national team.
And the coach from Kennedy also plays. Yeah.
Who? Tia LaFawn.
No,
I doubt
she's an Olympian.
Yeah, she is an Olympian. I had her on a show many years ago. Hey, I got a buddy up here in Frederick County. She plays in Middletown. She's a stud. She's a quarterback. I think she's a junior this year. I want to say she's a junior this year, but she went to the quarterback factory. She was the only girl there learning stuff, and she's a stud athlete. She just really is. She's always competed against boys. Wonderful kid, great family, very, very, very athletic.
Our girls wanted to play our boys. We said, well, we better not do that.
Yeah, you'd embarrass them. You'd embarrass them. Hey, listen, I'm glad Election Day is almost here, fellas. We don't got to listen to that ridiculousness for another 3 years after this. Man, I don't know who will win, what Wednesday is going to look like for us. But I love sports. I really do, because it's an escape from all this crap that we have to endure, I guess. All the chaos that comes with it. So tonight, fellas, we're going to rock the show, keep it on sports. We're not going to head down any political path, and may the chips fall where they may at this point. You know, I mean, that's the bottom line. We have no control over it. So make sure you cast your vote. Say your prayers if you're a praying type person, and let's roll. Hey, I want to talk about Halloween now. Chops has hit me up. He's texting me. I'm having some beverages. Halloween night. I said, okay, Chops, we can visit it a little bit. Noob's favorite candy on Halloween.
What's the Reese's one with the pretzel in it? The newer one.
Yeah.
Take 5?
Outrageous or something like that. Not right. No.
Take 5.
Is it Take 5?
Yeah, I'll take a Take 5. I'll take a Take 5.
Yeah.
What about when you were a kid?
Snickers.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything can ever replace that in my life. When my son comes home, I just dump his shit out and take all the Snickers.
Oh, is that your go-to?
Yep.
Nice.
I do. I told my kids at school, though, Mike, I said, I'm charging a candy tax to anybody who goes trick-or-treating. And I like Butterfingers and Snickers. And I had a couple of kids bring me in some Butterfingers. They're like, I hate these things. I'm like, I'm done with it.
Butterfingers are good, too.
Yeah. Oh, without question.
What's your favorite candy? You go over Malaki's, trick or treat. What's your go-to?
Oh man, it's always been either the Reese's or the peanut butter cups, even though they taste different. I've always, before ET, I was like, them some bitches stole that from me. I have always loved Reese's Pieces and peanut butter cups. Still love them today. Now, I used to like Chico sticks as well. But
I love Chico sticks.
Those were significantly less expensive. So we get what? They're 10 cents a piece.
10 cents
so you
each.
Get more of those with $1 or $2 than you could any of the Reese's or the cups. But man, that's still my go. And I'm the same way. Reese's cups, Reese's Pieces, and then the Snickers. I'm on it.
Hey, I used to go to the Little League field. Dad would give me like $1, and I'd buy 10 Chico sticks and just brush them. And it was like the big ones. Now you go to buy them, it's like half the size, and they're 50
ridiculous.
cents. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They're ridiculous.
Sis, I know you're not a chocolate guy, but what's your go-to candy?
Probably back in the day, it was either Pabst Blue Ribbon or Old Milwaukee. Whatever my dad had in the fridge. And I had to put it in the old time glass Mountain Dew bottles. Shit was hard back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't chocolate back then. So probably like the Chico stick, Reese's Pieces, because that wasn't chocolate, but I love peanut butter.
Did you go across the street to Lafretto's and get them?
Probably Twizzlers. But now I dabble in the Twix. I get a little bit of the Twix.
Twix are good.
I eat the ones on the right, because right all night. And yeah.
Did you go to Lafretto's or down at Dirty Dean's and get them?
Dirty Dean's. Lafretto's was closed.
So I'll be honest with you. Since I've been a kid, if it doesn't have peanuts, chocolate, peanut butter, or nougat, like Twizzlers, Skittles, Mike and Ike's, when somebody say we have candy, if that's all you had, to me that wasn't candy. I know it's sugar, I know it's soda candy owl, but like I remember people would even eat those Neckos. I couldn't do it.
I had that one noob mentioned, the Take 5 or Outrageous, whatever. That was pretty good. Because I won't just eat like a Hershey bar. I has to have something that like caramel or peanut butter.
Yeah.
But I had that one. It was good with the pretzel jump. Yeah, it was nice.
Fellas, quick shout out to our guy Daniel joining us tonight. What's going on, Big D? Daniel,
what you say, dude?
I can see you eating some dipsticks.
Yeah. Hey,
I didn't eat sugar back then.
Okay.
Hey, let's circle the wagons. Let's keep circling the wagons. Noobs, your favorite costume growing up? What'd your mom put you?
My mom made me a Darth Vader outfit. It like had its original cape. She had this like necklace thing that looked like his little thing on the chest.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. So I had a cool Darth Vader outfit. That was my go-to.
Chops?
Never had one because my dad wouldn't buy us anything nice. So he would get you the old plastic mask.
Oh,
you can't see anything. You can't breathe. The holes. It was terrible. I hated it. So mine, after I started to realize, I'd say I want to go as a hobo. I want to go as a bum, so I can just wear dirty clothes, but it released mine. I hate that aspect of it. Hated it.
Wait till I see your dad.
Oh, it was terrible.
Sis?
I'd have to say the wet T-shirt contest at Cheeks' Bar was probably up there. I wasn't wearing it, but I heard it was pretty spectacular. Do you remember when they changed it to you had a trick or treat? Noob, you wouldn't know, but back in the grift, they changed it from nighttime trick or treating to daytime.
Saturday 2 to 4. Who
and
the
I'm
hell
like,
goes
what
trick or
the hell is this?
What?
Yeah.
I braved it one year and like painted my face. The shit was dripping. It was so hot. Oh, it was bad. Itchy.
Why?
I don't know. Stupid. My friends were doing it, so I'm like, oh, let me put some of that paint on. Oh, it was the worst thing ever.
I was in the same situation as Chops. My mom kept recycling the same fucking mask every year. I'd put on some kind of witch face or some shit, and she'd throw like some old coat over me, and I'd walk around when I was a kid, trick or treat.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I don't know. And then it just got to the point where I was just like, I'm just going out. I'm like, however I'm dressed, I'm going out with a bag, and I'm just, hey, hook me up. Since I've become an adult, though, we've had some cool ones. My wife and I have had some killer ones. I was Tigger one year. This year I was Scooby freaking Doo, you guys.
Yeah, I saw that.
Scooby Doo.
We went on his ass off. Talk about sweating chops. He was.
Oh, dude.
I said you should put that on like every other day. You'd be down. You'd lose 10 pounds a week.
We went to this beer crawl. I must have taken about 150 pictures between taking them with kids, adults, people running by. Said, let me get a picture, Scooby. It was so fun. One year I was Mr. Incredible. That was pretty fun. I got one of those blow up dinosaur things. I like just wearing that around whenever I can, but I like dressing up personally. Anybody got like a great memory from a Halloween party or anything you went to?
Now, back we're again, this might be a Griff thing because anybody you say this to, they're like, that sounds like the stupidest thing ever. But as a teenager or even younger than that, we like to terrorize and torture the older people. Yeah. And they had these awnings that were metal roofing. Yeah. And what we did, Noob, was we would shuck the corn when it's nice and hard, and you throw it at the windows and everything.
Oh yeah, you go raiding.
It scared the piss out of people.
Yeah,
because I remember sitting in the house and they do it to us, and you're like, "Oh, what is that?" And people are like, "That sounds like the stupidest thing ever." It was just something that we did, and some people would go nuts, come out, chase you, and some people would be like, "Yep, they're raiding." We called it raiding.
Raiding.
That was always fun.
Nice.
Chops, anything going up in the heights?
No, it was pretty subdued. We'd be like you said, egg. No, never egging because you throwing eggs that cost more money. Eggs were 68 cents a dozen, but if you broke eggs, your ass was getting tore up. But we did the same thing, you know what I mean, doing the raiding and run, you know what I mean, running. But everybody knew everybody, so by the time you get home, your parents already knew. So
your ass got well. Noobs, anything going on in Damascus?
Oh man, I got in trouble one time for egging. I egged somebody's house, got it on the front porch, and the guy came up, tried to confront my dad about it. My dad wasn't having it. My dad's a Marine, man. My dad wasn't messing with that dude. He said, "Get off my property right now."
Did he end up whooping his ass right there?
The guy walked away. He was smart.
Anybody ever do or experience the lit paper bag of dog shit?
I was just gonna say that.
No, is that just a movie thing? I've never heard of anybody experiencing that.
Well, my luck, nobody had been home, and the house would have literally caught fire. With my luck, nobody had been home, and it ended up catching the porch on fire. Yeah, I never did it.
And that was a movie too. I just saw.
I love Halloween, though, fellas. I just think it's the funnest holiday. I like the fall, period. Like I really, summer and fall I can live with. Summer and fall. I don't need any of that winter shit, honestly. You can lump Christmas and New Year's into the fall if you really want to, but I don't need January and February. I just don't. I don't. I'm sorry. Let's talk sports, fellas. Let's talk a little sports. I got down to talk about Dak right out of the gates. So apparently this hamstring injury that he said we fucking suck, following that, this is going to shelf him for quite some time, and we already know the Cowboys are trash. What do you guys think about this? Where do they go? Cooper Rush is the number one guy behind him. It's not even Trey Lance. Where do they go?
Well, honestly, just real quick, fellas, for me, I'm not participating in this. I hate Dallas. I hate that everybody on ESPN talks about them. So I have sworn to myself, when they're talking about them on ESPN, I fast forward it, even though I've already recorded it. So they're getting the credit anyway. I hate Dallas and how everybody, you know what I mean? We talk about them.
You don't troll them like Stephen A?
No, I hate them, and I won't talk about it. I hate Jerry Jones. Anything Dallas. I'll talk about the Texans. Talk about the Astros. I talk about the cheating ass Astros. Don't talk about. Hate the Cowboys. And just because everybody gives them love, and what do we get? I don't understand the love. Why everybody talks about them, even on ESPN. You know what I mean? Because think about it, if you're a Texan, don't tell me that no damn Houston. They're about the Dallas Cowboys. If you're an Eagle, or if you're a Commander, you don't hear about Dallas. Screw them. You know what I mean? So,
well. everyone talks about them because they're where's my quotes? America's team. But did you hear the story where they told Rooney, old man Rooney, we want you to be? And he said, no, we don't need those labels. But right now they're 3-5. They beat the Browns, Giants, and Steelers. With Dak being out to potentially December 9th, they have Philly next week, then Houston. I think those are 2 losses. Yeah. And then they have Washington. I think that's a 3rd loss. And then they have the Giants, while Dak is supposedly out for the next month. They may go 1-3, which would take them to 4-9.
Where are they playing the Giants at?
They're playing the Giants at home.
Yeah, they might go 0-4 because they haven't won at home yet.
Well, 3 of the 4 games are at home. The only one that's away is Washington on November 24th. Yeah, that's the yeah.
I can see that. Noobs?
I don't see them.
We have a certain coworker who's a big Cowboys fan, and he's kind of beside himself. He's like kind of written them off for the year, and I think he feels like Jerry makes it too comfortable for the guys. Like he feels like Jerry puts too much into the team, like he gives them too much love without them earning it, if that makes sense. So I guess that's part of the problem. They didn't address a lot of their needs in the offseason. I mean, I don't think they did anything with free agency, and they're spending too much money on their primetime players. Like it's too much CD Lamb, too much money. I mean, and
he's hurt too.
Yeah.
He said he's going to play this week, though.
And I don't even like Cowboys, and I don't know your coworker, but on that question, I would ask him, how do you mean that? Because he's critical of everybody on the team. He never pays his stars. He makes them all wait. You're right. He needed a running back. He didn't make a move on any of the, he didn't make a move on Saquon. He didn't make a move on Henry. So I would like to know, like, how does he make it safe for him? Now, he may make it safe for the coach because he doesn't put any pressure on the coach, even though he'll talk bad about the coach. But Jerry doesn't want a coach that'll kick back on him. He wants a laid back coach.
If you look at them long-term wise, so they re-sign their guys. They sign the guys that they draft, and they give them big contracts. I think he feels like maybe they overpay them. And then the other thing is he's talking about like he gives them the best of the best for everything. And maybe if you're given everything without earning it, it gives you a certain mindset. That's what he's talking about.
Well, think about it. CeeDee Lamb, as they say now, which I hate, he was the next receiver up, as was Dak. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So and that I hate, where guys like, okay, so I got paid first and I got paid $10. Noob, you'll get paid second, so you'll get 15. Terry, you're third, so you'll get 20. I hate that that's how they do it. I hate that. And it should go on production. And now I didn't realize this, but they said Lamb had like top 5 receiver numbers last year. I don't pay attention to Dallas, so I don't know if he did. But and you're right, Noobs, they do pay the guys they draft. But think about it. They make them hold out. They don't pay their guys early, or if they think, you know what I mean? Dak's been going through this, a good 2 seasons before he signed or something in Lamb. So he will sign them. I want to see what he does with Parsons. I
think he'll let Parsons walk. I don't think Parsons is worth the kind of money, the coin that he wants.
Really?
Now you might have a different take on it.
He's in the conversation of Defensive Player of the Year every year the past, 3 or 4 years.
He wasn't in the conversation he was in there at the beginning of last year, like the first 5 games. Then he was trashed the rest of the way. I think he puts himself on a whole nother level verbally than he does physically on the field. He does good things, but it's only for a small stretch of time. I don't see that guy consistently doing, you're going to hear it here, Myles Garrett stuff, TJ Watt stuff. I don't see him being a game wrecker or somebody that you have to plan for each and every game. I just don't. That's what I see, but maybe you're,
defensively, they got 3 big guys out, Parsons, the other guy on the line, and then one of their corners.
Technically, he's had 13 or more sacks. Well, only for the last 3. I mean, even last year he had 14. But be honest with you, I did do it because Sheen, who's not with us tonight, was always talking about it. And in multiple articles, I did see where he scores higher than Watt on double teams and rushes. He doesn't have the sacks, but he has more double teams and rushes. Now, I had to review it because I don't watch Mike. I'm telling you, man, I'll be honest. I did used to like, what was the running back who they just from Ohio State? They just
Zeke.
yeah. I used to watch Zeke. That's it. I just hate because to me Dallas thinks they're better than anybody else. They just to me I don't. And again, I've never been in their locker room. I don't know any of those players, but they just come across like they think they're better than everybody else. And I hate everything Cowboys. I just do.
It's the star on the side of the helmet that thinks it gives them the upper hand on everything. They haven't been a successful team in getting anywhere in the playoffs for how long now? It's
been a minute.
Ever.
Been a minute.
In 8 games, Dak has almost 2,000 yards. He has 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Not a good QBR of 63%, but
and a lot of those yards are coming because they're always behind.
Yeah, and I'm surprised, like you said, Chops, like this quarterback's getting this much, and it worked its way up to Dak, and that contract is just phenomenal that Jerry Jones would.
When we talk, we know, not jump ahead, but we have some younger quarterbacks we're going to talk about. And I'm going to bring that up when we talk about them later because the way the NFL is, it's good, man. It's just tripping me out.
Yeah, I get it. Hey, well, last thing I want to say about that is, and I really probably shouldn't have made this comparison, but what plays in a 5-man front rushing a quarterback where guys like Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons play in a 4-man front. And usually if they get a 5th guy who gives pressure, it's a blitz. So, they don't have to plan to block 5. They have to plan to block 4 and read what you're given. So yeah, I can see to a certain degree, but I just don't see him at that level. I don't care what they say. I don't see him at that level. If I'm throwing that kind of credit to Myles Garrett, there's an issue with me seeing him at that level. Even Max Crosby, I think Max Crosby's a more consistent player. You got to plan for Max Crosby. If you don't, Max Crosby will eat you alive. Khalil Mack still brings a hell of a lot to the table. He's got to be planned for. I just don't feel like Micah Parsons is a guy you got to plan for like you do some of those other guys. Again, that's my take on it.
He's more of a Ray Lewis in the middle, eating up the carries, right?
Who?
No, he's on the edge. They moved him from the inside to the edge.
On the edge.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's big enough to do that.
Originally, he was in the middle, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When he was at Penn State. As soon as they
first year at
him,
Dallas, he wasn't an edge rusher, was he?
I think they moved him pretty quickly because one of the guys got hurt and they tried him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Hey, let's move on to Garrett's catch last Thursday night from the Jets. I know we threw this around a little bit in our chat, but Mike explained it really well. Mike, what was your explanation? You did a great job of playing that out.
So, according to the rules, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but according to the rules, if your foot touches and then any part above your foot touches, even if it's on the same leg, whether it's your knee, your shin, your hip, if that touches the ground, that counts as 2 feet. So that if you were sideways and your foot touched and then your knee touched, that would count as 2 feet. And that's so that if you were like this, when you hit the ground, you'd still get credit for the catch. That was the craziest example I've seen, like where, it was so close, just that much. And it was right just before the line. Like that's as close as you can get not being a catch, I think, and being a catch. And that was such an acrobatic play. It was insane. And I hear what you're saying about the Steelers getting robbed. But according to the rule, Pickens touched his foot and touched his foot again. It was the same foot, and there was no other part of his body that touched.
But okay, I have a cousin, right? And you get Terry and Barber know him, Lou Lawhorn. Well, Lou, remember when he was at Temple, his first year he went to Temple, he is catching a punt, and he caught a punt, and as soon as he caught it, and instantaneously, if he'd gotten hit, it wouldn't have counted. But when he jumped to the side and almost went out of bounds, the guy pushed him. And Lou still has it on tape against Miami. He hopped on 1 foot before he went out of bounds for about a good 3 or 4 yards. And they gave it to him. And that's what I'm saying. So technically, if both feet have to catch, touch, then say you're a receiver. Now, put your like coaching hat on, so you're on the field running. If you're a receiver and you run a 4-yard out, so hypothetically out, so you go this way and you're facing the sideline. Soon as you catch it, you go to turn up, but dude pushes you like to get out of bounds or wouldn't be clean, but you have good balance and you hop for 3 or 4 yards. Now, according to their rule, that wouldn't be a catch. You know what I'm saying? And it is crazy because we've heard, and I watched that too, news. You're like, man, that leg barely touched. But we've heard guys say he got that foot and that shin down. Like, oh boy, from Ohio State and Penn State, you see the interception he had. Yeah. But did you see it, Noobs?
I saw the reception that they said it wasn't a reception when it should have been a fumble, right? You're talking about the fumble that
in the end zone. He's in
the end zone. They gave him a touch. They gave him an interception. Now, but fellas, you can say whatever you want about Garrett. That was catch of the year so far in the NFL for about a week. Because now what Saquon did yesterday with Barkley.
That was sick, man. That was sick. I don't know. That was about as athletic as it gets, man.
Mm-hmm. I tried that over my dog, and I pulled my hamstring the other day.
Fellas, I want you to think about this. Now, seriously, all you guys being athletes, think about this. Even if you were when you were a kid, right? I don't know if you jumped off of 1 leg or 2, but say you jumped off of 2. Even if you were trying to get rim, you'll run, you almost come to a complete stop and hop off both legs. The crazy thing about that, if you rewatch it, Barkley never gathered himself to hop. He just went up like it was a normal, that's what he does every day. And fellas, the crazy part is you can't do that in practice. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys might practice the one-handed catches. You'll practice 2-minute drill. You can't practice hopping over a cat backwards. You know what I mean?
Great point. Great point.
Spin. That's awareness.
And spin.
That's awareness.
Yes. And you know what, Mark?
Athleticism.
I'm glad you said that awareness because Saquon was aware enough to know there was a guy there, so he hopped over him backwards. But that dumbass DB didn't even have his eyes open to realize he's going over
like
me.
This.
He never put his hands up. He just went like this, then realized, oh, I didn't hit anything, and turns around. That's what. But and I understand I'm a dinosaur in old school, but you're supposed to keep your head up and look at what you're hitting. The fact that he jumped over you and your arms never went, that lets me know you weren't watching him.
It happens so fast, man. When you're out there, it's like you're there for a tackle, and all of a sudden the guy's like in the air. You're like, what just happened? I feel for the DB. That is the most athletic play I've ever seen in my life.
When I rewatched that over and over, it was like, I feel worse for the guy that he spun on. Because the guy that he spun on, he was like, he could have whispered in his ear. And the next thing he knew, Saquon was gone. That's how close
would be worse. Would be worse getting something like Saquon because it's so infrequent, or somebody just stiff arming you and like you go to tackle them and they just punch your ass and go.
You'd be like Vance McDonald did.
Yeah,
when he shoved that dude from Tampa like 7 feet into the stands.
Whoosh. Yeah. You said you hate it, Noob? You hate the stiff arm?
No, I would rather get juked out than get stiff. There's no that would be the most embarrassing thing to get stiff arm.
Yeah.
Because like you get bitched.
Yes, because like Nuke said, a juke, like Nuke saying a juke, your hips are just better than mine. But if you stiff for me, I got family that's watching this game. That was uncalled for. You know?
Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It takes your manliness away.
Yeah, you got to give that
stiff arms that are so prevalent now. The guys are just coming up like trying to tackle up here.
Yes.
They don't even go low. They don't. Is it just me?
I still feel like tackling is just so poor at the professional level. It's just so poor. You know, and part of that's because of all the freaking rules. You can't knock a guy's dick in the dirt anymore.
No,
you just can't. Next thing you know, it's going to be, hitting a defenseless receiver, horse collar. What's the other thing they call now?
I'll be honest with you. I'm glad they got rid of that horse collar. I hated when Roy Williams used to do that all the time. I hated that.
The hip drop tackle.
Yeah.
The hip drop. Yeah, it's like, oh my God. Hey, let's move on.
You can't practice. You can't practice it either. That's the biggest problem.
No.
Because you get somebody injured and then you look like a jackass because you were practicing tackling at practice.
Yeah.
You know what though? Even in camp, you'll see the guys. They say we'll go, just bump, or they'll have pads and they'll chuck each other.
Thud.
But come Sunday, you don't even see that. You don't even, I mean, it just, I don't know, man. And it's like, I understand you're in the league and it's different from college and high school, but how did they say you never forget how to ride a bike? How did you forget how to tackle?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Chops. Hey, fellas, New Orleans and the Raiders made headlines. New Orleans got rid of Dennis Allen after just a short amount of time. I don't know. I guess maybe, from that perspective, he does have some players on that team. It's, he's got Kamara. I don't think Derek Carr's the worst quarterback in the league. He's got Chris Olave. Even the defensive line has some potential, but they cut him loose and they make Darren Reese, who was the assistant head coach, special teams guy, in charge. What does that do to a team at midseason? Are you packing it in? Is that it?
Well, you heard the DB. The D lineman who said in an interview, hell, put me in at quarterback. At least I'll be more entertaining. You saw Cam Jordan. He apologized to the fans. They're on a 7-game losing streak. I think, first off, I don't think players take team like they used to. They hold out more. They'll jump ship. I don't think players take the word team like they used to.
No.
We are teammates, but we're not a team. We're not a unit. So I think they're about, how do I get my numbers? It's my contract year. It's this, that, whatever. Now, I'm not saying all teams are like that, but the majority, I don't know, man. I really don't. I don't think I don't want to say they don't care, but they're like, how can we win? What helps me win?
I agree with you 100%, Chops. I also am not a big fan of firing your coach in midseason. Like, what the?
You still got to pay him. What's the point? You're already.
What's going to happen is going to be better. I just don't meet with your coach and be like, hey, what can we do to fix things? Is there something we can do to fix? Like, come on. Like, you're going to fire him midseason? Like, how's that going to be better?
Well, here's the thing. Even if you're right, Noobs. But at that point, when they're on a 7-game season or 7-game losing season or streak, if the coach, knew anything to do better, you'd like to think he's smart enough to know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I can see where you're sitting down. I agree with you on what's the use of doing it, because the Jets at the time were the only team that I've ever seen still being, that I can think of, should I say, off the top of my head, that were in playoff contention and still fired their coach. So most of these guys, you're already out of the playoffs. Why fire them? Because you're still paying them. Because a lot of times we see these teams start quarterbacks that we know aren't the best guy, but you'll say, we've invested and we're paying you, so you're going to be out there. So I don't understand why you fire him either, because you still got to pay him and your season's already in the shitter most of the time. So I don't get it.
I think the brown paper bags were coming back, not like the ones that we had in the truck last week, but the ones over the heads, and it says ain'ts, because they lost 7 in a row. They lost 174 to 116 points. They've given up 174 to 116 points, 7 in a row. They got to spark something, and the coach sure as hell ain't doing it. I'm not a fan of it, but hey, you got to do something, and it's always unfortunate. It's the head coach. You didn't do anything for the first 9 games. We're 2-7, and thanks, but no thanks. We're going to move on.
At the end of the day, it's a business. No matter how you want to cut it, it's not like when we were growing up where you could buy that, that Mike had that Dave Butts shirt that he wore around forever because he knew Dave Butts was going to stay on the Skins. There was no question about it. Or Chops had that LC Greenwood shirt.
Yeah, man.
LC was going to be there forever. Today, you buy a jersey, you better sure as hell hope it'll last you 4 years.
But fellas, Sizzle said something. They do, a lot of teams, and I think they do it for a spark, to start a spark. But you guys may have watched more than I have. But we've known where we've seen on highlights where a coach, Eberflus, where he's doing things that are called into question all the time. I don't know if that was the question with the Raiders coach. I don't know if that was Getsy. I don't know if that was in question with your boy at the Saints. So I'm saying that to say, if the guys aren't producing, and if you bring in a new coach and it all of a sudden changes, I'm looking at the roster. Why are you able to produce now when you couldn't end. Because again, it's different. If you're pulling a Marty Morningwig, you're in overtime and you elect to kick off, what are you doing, dummy? I get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hell, even when I like Campbell, when you kept going for 2, those are plays we talked about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but if these guys just aren't executing, is that as much as it can be on the coach? I'm looking at the players also, because you're the one out there getting your ass whipped on a play-by-play. At some point, pride has to kick in and be like, I don't care if I got to bite you. I'm not getting my ass kicked every play.
Okay.
That's what bothers me.
So from that perspective, all right, maybe New Orleans should have moved on from Dennis Allen. Okay, whatever. But the Raiders getting rid of Luke Getsy, the offense coordinator, the quarterback coach, Rich Stagnarello, and the O-line coach, James Craig, that's a whole nother ball of wax. You're pinning that on an offense that lost Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, who's third in the league in rushing, by the way.
Great point.
You know, you traded away Darren Waller, who was a top flight tight end, and Michael Mayer has never lived up to what Waller was doing. Brock Bowers isn't there yet. Brock Bowers with the Raiders, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Brock Bowers hasn't lived up to that yet. How can you pin this on the offensive coordinator when his quarterbacks are Jimmy Garoppolo, Aiden O'Connell? Who else is throwing the ball? Who else is slinging it?
It's easy, Mark, because the coach, everybody seems to be liking Antonio Pierce for a little bit. They sort of like him as a person. The GM who got rid of these guys, well, he didn't get rid of Jacobs, but you let Waller walk, you trade Devontae Adams. He's not going to fire himself, so he's going to be like, you know what? It's almost like I admit it, Noobs did it. You know what I mean? So that's what
you have to have a scapegoat.
Yes,
you do. Yeah, you do.
I can.
And with 90 points, with only 90 points, averaging 18, a la Pittsburgh Steelers offense in the last 5 games, you need a scapegoat, and you're not going to get rid of the players. You want to have a team because they all suck.
I'll say one thing about those guys moving on from who they had. They pulled the trigger before it got too late. Maybe you can make a second half run, string some stuff together. I don't know. New Orleans, I don't see it happening. With the Raiders, at least they have people in place other than a quarterback that can make a difference. So, hey, I want to share some good news with you guys. Listen to this. Washington, the Commanders, Noobs' team, is averaging 42.5 yards per offensive drive. 42.5 yards per offensive drive. That's the highest average for any offense in weeks 1 through 9 this millennium, with a rookie quarterback, a new head coach, a new ownership group, and a new GM. Think about what they're doing there. Talk about making a difference right out of the gates, fellas. You got to give props there.
They just got to come up with a new name. The Commanders is so lame.
Yeah. Well, the Native Americans, what do we call them? The indigenous people would like them to take the Redskins back.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I think Dan Snyder just did that for money. I don't think there was ever really any scuttlebutt there. Me personally, I don't know. What the hell do I know? I'm not in those meetings. I don't even have enough clout to figure it out. But yeah. But isn't that pretty amazing? Like,
it is.
That's a hell of a statistic right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whether you want to buy into it or not, that's a hell of a statistic.
I feel like it's it's just like the perfect mix, like it just came around perfect. Like Jaden Daniels and the whole thing is just it just came together just perfect.
Their point differential, they're plus 69. They're scoring 236 and only giving up 167 points. Where I think in the past, they didn't have that good combo. It was like one would do okay, one would do shitty. Now they're playing all around decent ball, all 3 phases, I should say, right? And we're seeing, and all eyes are on Daniels as the rookie quarterback because only the quarterback plays the game. But it is all 3 phases, and with the plus 69 differential. I think that's the highest in the league right now.
Now, let me ask you this. Who have they played? Who are their wins against? Not to rain on this parade at all, but Who are their wins against?
The Giants,
Okay.
the Bengals,
Okay.
the Cardinals, the
Okay.
Browns, the Panthers, the Bears, and the Giants again.
Yep. Not great.
No, but you play who's on your schedule, Mike.
And,
Yeah.
and that's the
You
thing.
know that.
You play who's on your schedule, and you beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Right.
And they're doing that. Whereas our team, the Steelers, they lost to the Colts and then they lost to the Cowboys. I think they should have won those games.
The Colts the Cowboys definitely. The Colts, I don't know. They played a really poor game that game.
But that's the thing. They played a poor game. They played down to it, and I don't know. They don't get hyped up. It seems like for the teams that they should beat.
You know who's really good at times though is the Giants. The Giants are really good at times. They just haven't, like, every time I watch them, they don't play a complete game. Like, they'll have like 2 or 3 good drives where you're like, God damn, they look really good. And then they throw an interception next drive, or somebody gives up a sack. Yeah, sack.
They're sloppy. A lot of penalties. A lot of just poor decision making. I'll tell you what, Slayton and Malik Neighbors. That is a hell of a combo there that nobody realizes is playing professional football. Those two guys are really good together. Like,
Neighbors, legit. Neighbors is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Is it because of the big contract they gave Danny Dimes is not worth a dime?
But see, his contract now is looking less. And if you really look at the perspective of it now, with all these other guys getting paid, his contract is looking less and less as it goes along. Yeah. Dak Prescott's making $60 million. He's got the same freaking record as Danny Dimes, right? Don't they? Like we're bitching about Jones, and Prescott has the same record. I don't know.
But see, now it's worse though. It's worse for Danny because they put all their money in him thinking he was the man, where you let Saquon walk.
Yeah.
But they at least paid CD first. Well, I thought they should have gotten a running back, but what do I know? You know what I mean? But, it is.
Cowboys are 3-5, and the Giants are 2-7. Sorry, Chops.
No, but I think that's it. The Giants fans are ticked that they let Saquon walk.
I think the Giants have a better defense than Dallas right now, currently.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely think that's true. Hey, check this stat out, fellas. Geno Smith has had 147 quick pressures this season. He leads the league, okay? People in his face, 147. That's a shit ton. You know who's number 2? CJ Stroud. So if you're wondering why his numbers are so bad, take a look at that offensive line in front of him.
Some of that scheme, too.
Yeah, no question about it. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But still, I mean, that's a lot of pressure in your face. If you're not throwing passes, man, and completing them.
Scheme on the defensive side?
Yeah.
No, offensively. The Redskins have changed so much under Kingsbury, but they do play action stuff. They'll do some things where it's really difficult to get pressure on Jaden Daniels because you have to respect the run game. And you have to respect him pulling the ball. So they'll do some play action stuff where it's really difficult to get pressure on them. And they've done a good job of coaching up their line, don't get me wrong. But it's basically the same group they had last year, plus the rookie at tackle. But other than that, they're pretty much the same. Well, no, they added the center too. I forgot about that. Biadasz.
But he's pretty good, Mike.
He's really, really good.
Yeah.
But my point is, I feel like scheme-wise, they're so much better this year than they were last year. They just put those guys in some shitty situations last year where they drop back 35 fucking times. You just drop back. Sorry about the F-bomb. Just drop back to pass. You're gonna get some pressure, if they know you're dropping back.
Yeah. Hey, fellas, let's do some mid-season award winners. Who's the surprise team to you? Let's start with you, Sis.
I'd have to say the Commanders are surprise team. Coming out, I think we probably had them be about 500. And then after week 4, listening to DC radio, they have them going to the Super Bowl. They are 7-2, and they're looking pretty studly.
Now we're talking about this being from a positive aspect. So yeah, I agree.
looking pretty studly. They're doing really well, as we talked about, in all facets of the game. And Daniels can do nothing but better.
Yeah.
He's improving every week.
Yep.
Just hope he doesn't feel like he has to carry the whole team on his shoulders, because I think they have a nice 1-2 with Robinson and Eckler.
Mm-hmm.
And McLaurin and the other wide receiver is doing a great job. And we got some background music ready to roll to the next guy. Who do you think is
Chops? Who you thinking?
I would go with Washington. I mean, you could go with Dallas, I guess. I don't pay much attention to it, but I guess everybody's talking about it. I'd go with Dallas.
No, I'm going with the positive aspect. We'll talk about disappointments in a minute. Mikey?
I'm going to go just switch it up. I'm a Washington guy, so I love them, but I'm going to go Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold leading them is a shocker. Like, no one had them being right on the Lions' heels. They're right on their heels.
Yeah, they're 7-2 now, or 6-2?
Who?
6-2.
6-2.
Lions are 7-1, and Vikings are 6-2.
Fellas, I'm gonna drop a bomb on you right here. This team is third in the NFC playoffs right now. The Atlanta Falcons at 6-3.
Yeah.
You like that? You like that?
Yeah. You like I need my big chain. Yeah, can you believe that? 6-3. And
I can believe it. Their division sucks.
But I don't think he's hitting. I don't like Drake London ain't doing shit there. Kyle Pitts is not doing very much. Like these guys are not producing how they should. And Bijan is like he's getting 100 yards combined. He's not even running for 100 and catching 50 yards, So it's kind of hard to believe that. But man, they're 6-3. And it's not just all division games. It's not just all division games. Who's the biggest flop? I'm going to give you mine. It's the Jets, and I love it.
Yeah, they were projected high, and they're 3-6 right now. And I don't know. They might have a little comeback in them.
I'm going to say Deshaun Watson and the Browns. The Browns are kind of a cluster F right now. They're a mess. Although they're coming back with their backup quarterback.
James?
I guess again, I'd probably go with Dallas. I'd probably go with Dallas on that aspect, I guess, because I guess they thought they would do well. But I don't know.
Can I have a second one?
Yeah.
The Jaguars are 2-7.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
I was going to say the Jags 2-7. They were in the playoffs last year, right? And
yeah. They beat the Chargers.
Do you think having to travel to London every other week is doing something, or do they just suck this year?
What do you do with that team? It's year after year. It's the same thing with them. They have a ton of high draft picks on both sides of the ball. They change coaches every 2 years to get them a different spark. Nothing works. Nothing works with them. I mean, what do you do? What do you do if you're the owner? And I think you're right, Sis. I think to a certain degree, going overseas is impactful. I always say we work with somebody whose daughter works for the Jaguars, and I always bust her chops about it. But, I say your daughter's going to move over there. Her daughter ended up getting a flat over there because she's over there 6 weeks of the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, though. That's really prevalent.
Yeah.
I said,
point. I mean, like they're playing a game in Germany every year now. Like,
you talk about going from West Coast to East Coast and the impact that has on a team traveling. This is further, right? This is a lot farther for these teams to be going, not just physically, but mentally. Obviously different time zones, a lot different time zone. Food is different.
If you have kids.
Yeah, food, kids, all that stuff. You're not just leaving the day before. You're leaving a couple, 2, 3, 4 days ahead of time to get acclimated. I think that has a toll on them.
Fellas, I'm going to push us a little hard. We're down to about 5 minutes to go in the show because this will pump through our Roku tomorrow. MVP of the league right now.
Push it real good.
Chops, MVP.
Fellas, honestly, I don't have one. because Mahomes can't be it because they're winning in spite of him. You shouldn't be able to pick Josh Allen because if the Bills are doing well, the front office got rid of everybody because they thought he could do it. So you would expect he's doing what you expected. What's his boy? Mahomes or what's his name? Lamar. You have Henry now. So I couldn't tell, I have no idea. I don't know, man.
He's throwing
the
shit on the
Goff,
ball.
But Goff has a great running back. He's got some nice receivers. I don't have, I don't have one. If I guess I give Jaden Daniels, I guess if I would, I guess.
Sis?
You could go with Daniels. I think the biggest offseason was acquisition or trade that's keeping the team in the hunt for the NFC championship, because I think their quarterback isn't doing it, is Saquon Barkley in the Eagles. The only problem there is he's so inconsistent. He'll score 2-3 touchdowns one week, and next week he barely has 40 yards. But he's right behind Derrick Henry with 925 yards. I like Barkley.
Yeah, I'm going to run with Lamar again. I know he's doing what he's supposed to do, but the one thing he's doing more of this year that I have always been extremely critical of Lamar is he's throwing the ball well. I watched him play this week again, and he's throwing the ball pretty well. Zay Flowers is his guy. He really doesn't go to Mark Andrews like he used to. Isaiah likely didn't even get a catch again. He's using his receivers now, and that makes him ultra dangerous because he really didn't run the ball either yesterday, and they just blew Denver off the field. So
it always goes to a quarterback, right? So
hey, who's the best defensive player in the league right now? Who's making a mark?
Zaire Franklin has 95 tackles for the.
I'm going to go Dexter Lawrence.
I'm with you, Dexter Lawrence. That's my vote, Dexter Lawrence.
He's a monster. I've
From
never
the
seen
inside him. To have that kind of impact from the interior is very difficult.
Like he's lead the league in sacks.
That's
no, he's not.
He dropped.
Trey Hendrickson for Bengals has 11, and Lawrence has 9.
Oh,
but to do it from the interior, God, that's so difficult to do that from the interior.
Isn't Hendricks on the end?
Yes,
Hendrickson exactly. Is on the end. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. What's Watt and Garrett have?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Oh, great. All right, so we'll keep moving. Rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels.
Watt has 6. And who else did you say?
Myles Garrett.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's your guys, and look where they are. But there's a whole half a season to play yet, too.
Yeah.
Rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels. Consensus?
If he doesn't get player of the year, he should get rookie of the year.
Chops?
Yeah, I would go with that.
If he maintains, which I know he can maintain, but keep growing, I think it's unanimous.
Rank the top 3 young quarterbacks to wrap this show up tonight, fellas. Rank the top 3 young quarterbacks. Everybody knows Jaden Daniels is going to be top on your board. Who are you going with second and third, though?
Bo Nix, number 2, and Caleb Williams, number 3.
Interesting. Chops?
I'll go with that. I'll go with that.
What do you think, Mike?
Can we take guys from last year? Can I take Stroud?
No.
Top 3 young quarterbacks just entered the game this year.
Oh, just this year?
Yeah.
I would go in that order as well.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I watched Nix play against Denver. It wasn't his fault I watched Denver play against the Ravens. It wasn't Nix's fault that they couldn't do anything against the Ravens. The Ravens looked great, and Denver did not capitalize on 3 or 4 4th and 1s, and you can't win if you don't capitalize and you go for that. Fellas, are we going to see any big trades tomorrow to wrap this thing up? Seriously now, any big trades going to come down the books? Are we going to see Marshawn Lattimore in Commanders colors? What are we going to see? Make a prediction for me.
That was going to be my prediction. Marshawn Lattimore going to the Skins. They could really use him. They could also use an edge rusher. So I don't know if there's anybody on the market, but if there is, they could use an edge rusher for sure.
Chops?
I don't think even this late in the game, I don't think anybody will do anything. Because if you would have, even if you had a serious injury in the last week or so, you'd have already done it because you wouldn't have wanted somebody else to snatch that person up or whatever have you. I think they'd have done it.
Sis?
I don't know. I haven't been on the wire as much as I want, but I feel like the Lions need to pick someone up without Hutchinson there. We've speculated somebody maybe from the Browns, but not sure. I think those teams who are just right there on the cusp need to make a move, need to do
they're
something.
Still winning.
I know.
Team's ass.
I know, but they to get to the next level, and not just into the playoffs, but deep. And I think they need to. Steelers need to. I don't know who they're going to get. They need to pick up a wide receiver. We all know that. But I don't know who to answer that question.
I'm going to predict that the Steelers get themselves a receiver, and it's going to be somebody you didn't expect it. It's going to be a splash pickup. Maybe a Jalen Waddle, maybe someone like that. I just think they'll make a splash pickup. And
Tyreek Hill?
You know what, Mike? I'd love to say that, but after we talked with our guy from Miami last week, I don't think Hill will get moved. I could see Waddle getting moved. I think they need to start thinking about going in another direction outside of Tua, but I'm not in that.
Sorry, I did see their eye on Christian Kirk from the Jags.
They can't. He has a broken collarbone. Yeah, he's got a broken collarbone. He's out for the year. Yeah, and they were eyeing the Steelers were eyeing Darius Slayton, who also got hurt last week. So they're not going to, unless it's a short-term injury. I highly doubt they're going to go after him too. Yeah. So
what about T. Higgins?
I don't see that division in interdivision. I don't see that happening. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I don't see that happening. What are you giving up to make another team in your division get rid of them? That's what you got to ask yourself. What are you giving up there? So, all right, tell them where they can find you, sis.
At 1T Youngie on Instagram and the X.
Choppers?
On the X, the real Big Chops on the gram, Big Chop 79 on TikTok, Big Chops 824 on the Facebook, Michael Gregory Mills.
Man, this guy's tired. He's doing all the laundry.
He's looking a little lonely tonight with the wife out of town for 24 hours.
Man, I get a headache. I get a headache. It feels like I got two monkeys and one banana in my head.
Jeez.
Hey, good thing Sheen ain't here. Go ahead, Noobs.
I'm just at Coach Noob on X and the gram.
There you go. Hey, check us out on our pod page, podpage.com, Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei. You can find us on Facebook, X, and Snapchat, all at OSP with M&M. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. All of those are Twitch. All of those are Original Sports Podcast. You can find our link tree, and it'll take you to everything we're on in social media. Big shout out to our networks, Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, ESPN, Elite Sports and Entertainment, Manning Media, and Peak One Sports. You can also catch this show replayed on Tuesday night on Roku at ESSP. Let us know if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions by emailing us at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com. Shout out to our guy Steve Medley and Charlie Hodgson for voice and music accordingly. And join us next week to experience EO on the Original Sports Podcast.